Hi friends, welcome to today's episode of /IDoWorkHereLady. Today we're doing 4 different stories. One is about a Karen who thinks height equals age, another is a mom who wants to control her teenage son's interview, and the last 2 are cute stories around confusion with ranking and age in the workplace. Welcome and stay tuned to today's episode. This story is titled, Being Short Doesn't Make Me a Child. This happened yesterday. I had to go to a different school than normal for work yesterday. There's a group of like 6 of us going into the building when the woman in front of me turns around and glares. She says, "School doesn't start until next week. You should call your mommy and ask for a ride home." I say, "Ma'am, I am here for the same reason you are." She says, "You can't be." I showed her my badge. "Ma'am, I'm a staff member supposed to be here today." Says, "How did you get a fake staff badge?" Now, I took this moment to consider my next move. I'm a smaller adult of 5'3" and I was carrying my book bag. But honestly, what kind of person would get a fake ID to attend a district-wide SPED conference? I say, "It's not a fake badge. I really work here." She says, "But you're a child." She tried to call on help from the man behind me to get me to leave. She says, "Don't you think she should go home?" He responds, "We don't have time for this. Just let her in. She's got the badge." He used his momentum to more or less push me and the gatekeeping lady into the building and end the argument. Once in, I went my own way and left the glaring lady eyeing both me and the hero of a man who didn't have time for her nonsense. I didn't know who this man is, but he was my hero yesterday. Thank you, kind sir. This is an interesting story. The Karen here, I don't even have words for her, because why would she bother someone for their height? Even though it's not a satisfactory ending or anything like that, it is quite funny how she expects that just because someone's short, they must be a school-going child. And why would she expect anyone to go to a work conference just for the sake and get a fake badge for that? Interesting. Anyway, leave your comments and what you think in the comment section below. This next story is titled, Don't Be a Bitch to Your Teenager's Potential Employer. A few years ago, I worked as a sales manager for 3 stores. I had approximately 50 sales team members over the 3 stores, and I did everything from interviewing, hiring, inducting, training, rostering, etc., etc. One time, we were hiring juniors for after-school shifts. The franchisee arranged some interviews that he had arranged online, and I scheduled those that were walk-ins. Interviews were scheduled in 15-minute intervals, but we had both scheduled a 4 p.m. interview. No biggie. At some time between 3:55 p.m. and 4 p.m., the supervisor interrupts me just before an interview ended. She got this weird look on her face. She says, "There's a lady here. She wants to talk to you now because her daughter has an interview at 4. I finish the interview and go out the front to find Mom Zilla, one hand on her hip and the other holding her phone adjacent to her ear, glaring at me. I say, "Hi, how can I help you?" kinda curiously. She replied, "Hi, my daughter has an interview at 4 p.m., which was still a few minutes away, scheduled by a franchisee. We've been here since 3:30, and now we find out there's another girl here. What's going on?" I explained that yes, the boss and I had overlapped at 4 p.m. I was aware, and it wasn't a big deal. Her tone changed immediately. "Oh, okay, well, should I send my daughter over? Whoever was here first," I say. She says, "Well, we've been here since 3:30. She snaps. "Well then, send her in," I go. When she came for the interview, I made sure I circled her name. Everyone else who attended got a tick. Those who didn't show up got an X. This girl had her name circled so I would not forget. She interviewed really well, but truth be told, she'd already failed. I couldn't risk having her mother hovering throughout her employment. At the end I said, "If you're a successful applicant, I will contact you Monday evening. I want to be contacting unsuccessful applicants because there's too many candidates." I told my franchisees about the situation. At about 9:15 p.m. Monday, the franchisee forwards me an email stating simply, "Is this the girl with the mom?" The original email is from the girl's account. Dear Mr. Opi's name, due to management error, I was not on the list of interviews. I did eventually receive an interview, and I was assured I would be informed this afternoon whether I had the position or not. It is now 7:58 p.m. and I have not heard from your company. Is this because I did not get the job, or because once again I have been neglected? I told the franchisee that wasn't forgotten or neglected, so we drafted a reply on his behalf. Dear the lady, I can assure you that you were on the list of interviewees. As I finalized the list, the manager informed you should be contacting successful candidates only. Unfortunately, you and your mother were unsuccessful during the recruitment process. Best wishes for your future endeavors. The boss and I agreed that it sounded like the man wrote the email and that I had dodged a bullet. Opi edits to say, this is a highly affluent suburb full of entitlement. This is an interesting one. This is definitely a helicopter parent because they just want to be in all their child's business, all of it. And I think I understand that this child will probably face a lot of problems entering childhood because everything gets worse as they go forward. It's quite funny. Anyway, I hope child is able to overcome her mother's helicopter nature and go forward. These last two stories are actually funny. In this third story, it's titled, I'm Actually Your Boss. Not sure if this fits here, so let me know if it doesn't. I, a 28-year-old female, used to work as a chef at a multi-site, multi-million-dollar club, and at the same time of this incident, I was the head chef of the function department. Even though I was heading functions, I was still one of the top-ranking team members in every other aspect of the kitchen. So when filled in the restaurant, I was still in charge. Most of my duties were based at our golf club, as that is where all weddings and VIP events would happen. And during wedding season, I would not step foot in any of the other clubs. I should also mention that I have a unisex name, but people always associate it with men, so when I'm mentioned in a conversation, people always assume I'm a dude. Now, 1 year I hadn't gone to a main club in roughly 3 months, and during that time, they had hired a new team member, and through the grapevine, I had heard that he was super sexist and misogynist towards all the female chefs, especially those under the age of 30, and treated all the apprentices like trash. One day, I was asked by my boss to work a shift in the main club bistro at the McGregor vs Mayweather fight was on, and we were super busy. When I get to work, I'm gearing up hat, apron, etc., and he comes into the back where I was, and before I can introduce myself, he starts giving me a tour of the kitchen. I keep trying to say who I am, but he keeps talking over me and saying there will be time for questions at the end. So I give up at this point and let him show me around. This goes on for 10 minutes, and my executive chef comes out and asks what we're doing. This guy says, I'm just giving the new girl a tour. Wouldn't want the little lady getting lost, and you know women already struggle with this job as it is. Cue my chef telling him that I was in fact his boss and had full authority to fire him if he continued to piss me off. I've never had someone stutter and try to backtrack faster. Opi comes back with an ETA or an edit. He says he stayed on that day because he was so busy, but we managed to file an official report with HR and had him dismissed. I do understand that this was a very misogynistic and super sexist employee, because why would he simply assume that this was a new employee without even giving her the opportunity to introduce herself at any point in this conversation? And his comment about the women not being able to get their way around and getting lost, that just showed his inner true colors. Good of OP to report him to HR, because who knows what else would have gone down the road. In this final story, this is just a little misunderstanding, but it's titled, Yes, I Do Work Here and I'm your new manager. In 2016, I was the new girl. Once again, we moved every few years of my childhood. I was in a new marriage, in a new state, and had just landed a new job as a pool manager for the local YMCA. I knew nobody. I had just renewed my certifications and was to sit in on the lifeguard training classes leading up to summer hiring in order to get the con ed hours I needed for my lifeguard instructor certification renewal. Day 1 of class rolled around and the room quickly filled with 16, 17 and 18-year-old high school students. They were all chatting away happily, comparing notes about prom dresses and upcoming graduation parties, who'd just gotten their driver's license and more. I sat at the end of the U-shaped table waiting for the lead instructor to arrive. A cute, bubbly teenage girl sat right down next to me and asked me questions about myself. She figured out I'd just moved town and was elated. She'd met a new friend that she could show around as far as she was concerned. I listened intently as she told me which mall was trash and which movie theater had the best prices, and then she asked me which school I went to. It was in that moment that I finally realized she thought I was her age. I was 26 at the time. I'm a redhead with pale skin and freckles, and only look almost my age if I'm wearing makeup, which I never did to the pool. I answered her, "Oh, I actually just enrolled at name of college, and I'm taking a full course load on top of this job." She excitedly told me that she was also taking college courses on top of her high school classes and was set to graduate high school early. She was a junior and 17. I thought about telling her the truth, but the lead instructor walked in right at that moment. I let him quiet the class and introduce himself, and right on cue, he asked me to come to the front of the room to introduce myself as well. "Hi y'all, my name is Foxy Freckles, and I'll be managing the pool this summer. I'll also be helping to certify you as lifeguards." Then we had each teen introduce themselves and played an icebreaker game. I looked at my employee roster and realized the bubbly girl would be working at my pool. The sweet girl recovered so quickly. I sat back down next to her and she leaned over and whispered, "Oh, I hope I look half as good as you do when I'm old." I laughed and thanked her and then informed her that she'd be working for me that season. She looked momentarily embarrassed but told me she couldn't wait. She ended up being one of my best guards that season, and I still keep up with her and give her references for new jobs. Almost 7 years later, she just graduated nursing school and is about to have a baby. I'm so proud of her, and it's a fond memory for sure. It's quite a funny story because this happens a lot. Well, probably not to me, but to a lot of people, where just don't look your age. You meet someone and you think they're 30 and they tell you, "Shocker, I'm actually 50." And you think, "Oh my God." So this was quite a cute story from all the bad I do work here lady stories we keep hearing over and over and over. So I'm excited for this. And I'm happy to know that OP actually still keeps in contact with her, because that shows that the friendship really held. I'm happy for them. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode of /IDoWorkHereLady. It's been a pleasure having you. I hope to see you next time. If you have any comments, suggestions, questions, don't forget to leave that down in the comment section below and I'll be happy to answer them. And kindly subscribe this channel for more. Thank you and see you next time.